Dude. It's our exit. Yo, what's up? I'm back. I'm slowly making my way up to the trailhead. So I'm gonna ride Kubla Khan in the great state of Maryland at Frederick Watershed. But we got a bit of a climb ahead of us. Whenever you have the chance to park at the bottom or the top, always park at the bottom. Climb will warm you up. You don't finish with a climb. And if unfortunately you sustain trail damage, it's a lot easier to limp or crawl downhill than it is uphill. So, I always park at the bottom. And this is my wake-up call. My town. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. My rear brake isn't bedded in. I feel good. I have not ridden in 2 weeks, which is an insane amount of time for me. Last time I hadn't ridden in 2 weeks was a year ago at this time, when I unfortunately came across 4 inches of my shin bone on the trail. All right, let's do what we came here for. Body feels good. I never say the bike feels good, because the bike's kind of always the same if I stay dialed on my tire pressures. But what changes is the way my body feels or the way my mind feels, which is actually a thing that beginner riders get wrong, because they're always shopping for new parts to make them a better rider, when really shopping won't make you a better rider. Being on the bike does. But the problem with that is you're never riding a consistent bike. You're always trying to find the new normal. I made a rookie mistake though. I made that whole climb with my gloves on. Now my palms are sweaty. Mama spaghetti. One thing I will say about the Zeb fork, I really love it in like chunk, but to get it to feel good in chunky stuff, you gotta ride hard, and those settings do not feel good on anything but chunk. So know that about the Zeb. At least that's been my experience. Another thing is I have self-diagnosed trail amnesia, so the thought that I can remember what's coming up is wild. See, I forget all this stuff. I know where danger is, but I forget my lines. Whoop, 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 whoop. Well, you can come up here, move a branch, bunny hop down to that without pinch flatting on that Sharpie over there. Let's do it. Let's get as high as we can, and we bunny hop. Ooh, it's harder than it looked actually. Look ahead, look ahead. We make our way up here, and we go there. All right, then we'll slow down and take a look at this. I think this is on a lot of people's bucket list. They ride this trail. What it is it's a pretty sweet slab. It's steeper than it looks on camera, but in all honesty, it's not super steep. Of all the Pink Bike Failed Friday clips that Frederick Watershed has made, I believe this one here is probably well in front as far as quantity. So what I think people get wrong is they come into it too fast, and then they have to brake more than they should because they're confronted with some trees here. B, they brake too much, and because it's kind of convex, your rear tire will trail to the side when you brake. So when you're on a rock like this that's convex, if you're skidding, any rock for that matter, if you're skidding, you're braking way too much. So practice front brake modulation to control your speed. So if you're a newer rider, any slab that you're trying to ride, come into it as slow as you can and still maintain like balance and control. Because you're never gonna have to worry about gaining more speed. It's all about reducing speed. Another helpful tip when you're riding slabs like this is concentrate on all your weight being on your pedals, in your feet. Be very light on your hands. Why? Because you're not gonna have to do a lot of heavy steering. And having all your weight on your feet means that your center of gravity is in the center of the bike and it's low. Being low is super important for braking traction. So as you come in, just mentally feel like you're all your weight. Tell your mind, okay, my weight's flowing down to my feet, my hands are light. I think you'll find that that will give you way better braking control. All right, so we're riding into it super slow, in control, about as slow as we can go and still maintain balance. We're looking at our exit route. We're on the slab, light braking, light braking. There it is. Don't drastically change your line when you're coming down a slab either. Make sure your line is committed to at the top. So just beside the slab is another roll. This one actually, I don't know if it looks scarier. That's all dependent on the person. But this one actually might be easier. So let's go look at it from the top. This guy over here, getting into it's a little tricky, but there's no dangerous exposure. Again, you want to control your speed and spot your line before you give in to gravity. If you can see your line, spot it before you give in to gravity. Make sure you're lined up. Release the brakes and let it go. All right, let's go do this one. It's funny, some people naturally like rock rolls better, and rock rolls don't scare them while drops do. Okay, we're gonna find our speed, find our line, commit to it. But some people will do rolls like they're nothing, and then they'll come up to a drop and be terrified of it. Other people will do big drops and then they'll look at it like a kind of a safe roll and they'll be terrified of that. That's the beauty of mountain biking. Everybody's different. All right, if memory serves me, we're gonna bunny hop off this rock right here to a little landing, only a couple feet. Yep. We're gonna come over here. Again, if you hear skidding, let off the brakes a little bit. Transition your brake into your front brake. That brings us to the next set of features we're gonna look at. The B line over there, or an A line, and this is the B line. I don't know, I don't care enough to argue, but this is the high line, we'll call it. And what this will bring you to, a roll. So we got another roll here, not too bad, maybe the easiest in this section. Let's hit it. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go do this drop on the lower line. So a lot of the rolls in the trails that I ride have a lot of chunk that leads up to them. So your main goal is to just ride the chunk in control, balanced. You don't need a lot of speed. We're not racing anybody. Okay, right here, we're mentally transferring all of our weight to our feet. All of our weight's in our feet. And we just ride her out. We spot our line. And we take forever to stop. I take forever to stop just because I don't want to lock the brakes up and skid down the trail. I mean, nobody's paid to keep these trails in shape, so needless skidding just kind of tears them up. Up there's where we came from. Let's go look at this drop. Okay, here we are. We're at the back side of the drop on the low line. We're gonna hike around and do it. It's not a bad drop. It's got a pretty comfortable landing. Soft dirt. Not too much tech immediately after it. What more could you ask for in nature? Okay, so the first thing for any drop is to know where you're gonna go off of it at. It seems obvious, but a lot of people make that determination, then they go get on the bike, and then as they ride to it, they've forgotten, or they don't even think about it. Some people will scratch marks in the rocks. I don't do that. I just try to take a mental snapshot. Okay, I'm gonna remember that moss right there. And then when I get on the bike, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna remember that moss right there. So when you do a drop, a lot of people will get down and push forward before they go off of it. So here's the edge, and they're pushing forward right here. And they're all pushed forward here with their bottom bracket over the edge. And what that's gonna do is if you're not going fast enough, you're gonna hang your rear wheel up and you're gonna drop front heavy. I stay high, come in with a good amount of speed. As soon as my front wheel's off, I just kind of go limp with my body and kind of fall into the drop. And what that'll do is it'll give your bike a nice controlled drop. Okay, so you hiked back up. You're nervous about the drop. You're not thinking of anything else but your nerves and all the scariness that you're about to encounter. But the first thing you want to remember is your line and your drop point. So left of the moss is my cue. Left of the moss. Remember that mental picture of the landing. We took that mental picture. We know exactly what the backside looks like as we approach. Let's do it. Coming in. Left of the moss. Okay, let's link this line together. Remember, come into this roll, come into any roll as slow as you can go and still maintain control. No need for speed. Transferring all of our weight to our feet. Feet are heavy. Commit to your line, watch your exit, there's your exit. Up here. Never front brake turn on a rock. Here we go. Again, we're in control, find our speed, find your line, and we commit to it. So one other tip before we leave this spot is when you're coming down like super chunky stuff like that, you may want to hold on for dear life, but do not hold on for dear life. I know it sounds crazy, but really don't hold on for dear life. Just keep your heels down, your hands light, and keep your shoulders and your elbows loose. Have a strong core, but don't hold on for dear life, because what that'll do is it'll mean you will feel absolutely every bump coming through there if you hold on for dear life. If you're loose, you let your body suspension and your bike suspension just work on all those roots and those rocks, and it absorbs it. And when you absorb it, the physics is much easier to handle. Like all those angles do not try to knock you off balance when you actively absorb them. So don't hold on for dear life, even if you want to. So becoming a better mountain biker, it's all about forming good habits. The reason why that's hard is because when you're riding a trail, all your senses are completely overwhelmed and there's a sense of danger all around you, so it's easy to forget those techniques that you're trying to work on or focus on when your goal is to just get down safely. So at the risk of sounding super uncool, but I think it's super cool if you do it, is get a label maker and just throw a label on your handlebars of what you're working on or what you need to focus on that ride, and keep it there for a couple weeks. You know, it can say look ahead, stay forward, knees over toes, heels down, whatever. Who cares what people say when they see it? Because you're going to be a better mountain biker for it, and that's what I guess everyone's goal is out here, is to just have fun and get better at what we're doing. Drop. Whoa, everybody goes to that hole right there. Not today, Mr. Hole. Forget what section this is. Forget the line. Think this is a drop. Yeah, it's a drop. Woo-hoo. Definitely just dinged my rim coming up that rock right there. What do we got here, Mr. Rock? Oh, it's a roll over that way. All right, we could start from here, but we got to do it right. Quick reset. We go to the right. It's just an easy roll. Look ahead though, because it gets fast. What's that? That's a drop too. So here, this is worth talking about. So we got kind of a tricky section here. Everything wants to throw you off balance. You kind of dive into this gully here. Then you got to get back up on this rock with enough speed to do this little drop. It's like 3 feet or so. Enough to hurt if you do it wrong. But the challenge is coming up this smoothly. So I think what we want to do is really get low on the backside of this rock. So we're low in the gap, in the crevice, in the dip, whatever. And we just unweight the bike and lunge, not lunge, but unweight the bike and drive with our upper body to pull us up onto this rock so that we don't get hung up on there and we're all wonky going too slow off of this. We'll see if it works. If you can do pedal drops, you want to make sure that you're in a gear that will give you some gusto in case you are going too slow off that rock. Okay, come up this smooth, dive down there, come up with our weight, and we drop. That wasn't the prettiest, but not sure where I'm going here. Whoa! All sorts of bad lines. You could probably roll that, but it didn't look like it from up there. Anyway. We're not racing, so bad lines don't matter. Unless they lead you to danger. Oh yeah, we're gonna go back and drop that. Whoa, I wanted it. There we go, back under control. I wanted to do a little kind of hip jump on that weird rock, but didn't really hip jump it. Whoa, that's a drop. Alright, that leads us to the little shaly chute here. Sally's shaly chute. This chute here is kind of gnarly because it's really loose. And then you got that weird little finger right there, that little ledge. So I think you could take any number of lines through it. You could go here. You could go over here, but what I don't like about going over here is it kind of naturally leads you toward that tree if you, unless you go off that lippy lip thing. All right. So again, anytime you think braking is going to be an issue, there's no reason to come into it faster than you need to. Maybe that's like the theme of today. And off the brakes we go. Go. A little looser than I remember. Kind of. Braking's not going to help much because your wheels are rarely planted on the ground to brake, but it's a little bit of a wild ride. Anyway, I guess the theme for today's ride, or today's tips on riding tech like this, is just take it slow, man. Like, even if you're riding with friends, there's no sense in being a hero. Whoa! And going fast through stuff and out of control because you really don't learn anything. It's kind of not cool to ride it like completely out of control. And you can see it on POVs when somebody's riding out of control and they're just holding out for dear life. Okay, as promised, I'm back at the top. Hopefully you didn't wait for me too long. We're gonna take a rip down boundary line. Woohoo! Yeah, we'll stay the low line here. Yeah. Whoa! That tree was coming for me a little faster than I wanted it to. Ooh. Yo! Yeah! Excuse. Whoa. Well, that was a sharp rock right to my rim. That does it, folks. If you found any bit of this entertaining or helpful, give it a like, subscribe. I got a ton more content on the way. Peace. Hold on.